Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to dive into today's conversation with Sissi Wang. She specializes in newborn and cake smash photography. Her studio is located in Thornley in a 2-story commercial building. She's been doing photography for 6 years now, and this is her 3rd year of doing it full-time with her team of 5. She moved from a business owner of running everything to now only shooting sessions and creating social media content. She also teaches newborn workshops around the globe to help aspiring photographers chasing their dreams. I've had the pleasure of watching her on social media for the last couple of years, and I am so excited because she taught last year for us for the Milky Way, and she is returning again for the online newborn retreat happening in January of 2023. Sissi, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Lisa, for inviting me to this show. Thanks so much again to teaching Milky Way Newborn Retreat.
We're so happy to have you. So tell us who you are and what you're passionate about.
So apparently I'm a newborn photographer now. I'm a full-time photographer, which is a surprise. I've never thought of that before, 6 or 7 years ago. I started my job as a landscape architect as a graduate. So I did about 2 or 3 years, and then I got pregnant. So I gave up that job to have my babies, and started having photography as a hobby to raise my child, and also capture his growth. Yeah, so I got carried away.
I love it. So do you find that having a background in architecture, you find that you use that in your photography much?
Absolutely. So I've always been doing any kind of creative things, any arts-related projects, anything that related to art would inspire me. So having the architecture background or design background, it helped me to have the eyes to see what is good and what is not, and what I like and what I don't. So I have a very, unique style, the style that is me to start with, and I stick to my style and I carry it on.
I love that. I think that as beginning newborn photographers, especially when you're first getting started, it is so easy to get overwhelmed with all the different ways you can be a newborn photographer. So how did you find your style and niche down into what really you love and what works for you?
So I don't know. Maybe I was influenced by some photographers that they started doing newborn a little bit earlier than me, and their styling is like incorporating home decor elements and flowers, those natural elements into their newborn sessions. So putting those little babies next to those flowers and basket and that kind of thing, that really gives me, that kind of look that I really want to achieve in my own work as well. So that's how I got started. Then in terms of very specific styling, I sort of discover my way along the go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I'm the same way, is I didn't actually realize I had a style until I actually looked at my body of work for a few years, and I was like, oh, actually, I do have a style.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
This is what I do.
I didn't realize until 4 or 5 years later, and people are saying even without your logo or your watermark on your pictures, we can still recognize your style. I know that's your photos. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. Even up till now, the photos I shoot outdoor or just some random, food pictures, people will say, oh, that's your style. Yeah, we can tell. Yeah.
I love that. So obviously having children drew you to your newborn photography. But how did you know you wanted to niche specifically in the newborn genre and the cake smash genre?
Newborn, I suppose I didn't initially. Initially, I just wanted to photograph kids. I didn't even know newborn is a niche. It existed. But since I was having a 6-month-old toddler, relatively small, so I was, within those moms group with very small babies who want to have their babies' photos taken. So I started in that kind of time that I was capturing friends and referrals, friends, babies. That's how I got just to start with those little babies and or toddler photos. Then in terms of Cake Smash, it wasn't until quite a few years later, because obviously my newborns have grown up, so they want the photos being taken too. And also on my social media, I have grown quite a bit of audience. People who missed out their newborns want to have their birthday photos taken, so they come to me. And I wanted to create something, unique to them. But of course, they are different to the newborns. Yeah. So I create some different styling in the Cake Smash niche to fit that kind of age group. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. My journey was very similar. I started my photography business when my son was about 6 months old. And I specifically went niche, not knowing that niche was a thing, only because I was terrified of children over the age of 18 months. I was like, I don't know how to deal with those kids, so I don't want to. So I ended up niching from the beginning of my business and then expanding to eventually do Cake Smash and then older children and families. But it's funny, I'm in this spot in my business where I'm actually niching back down just to do newborn and maternity again. So it's so funny how like your season of life can affect like what you do in your business and how you relate to your clients too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's neat.
Yes. Yeah.
So how long do you feel before you actually started to feel confident in your newborn sessions?
How long? It wasn't until 3 years ago. So I'm up to 6.5 years, about 3.5 years ago. It was a lot of struggles. It's always some kind of struggles every session. Some babies are more cooperative than others, and some are younger than, or maybe older than others. So there's always some struggles. But in terms of the first kind of struggles, it was most likely maybe the wrapping, because you don't know what the baby is like. They have their own language, you can't read you couldn't read their languages in the first maybe a couple of years. But after a few practice, you kind of like know what you need to do if the baby doesn't do this. So how do you move along if you can't make the baby to fit into this workflow? So I kind of like the first 2 years was my practice, and I kind of like start to read baby's language, and I try to discover my own workflow that can at least guarantee some photos. So about 2 or 3 years, that kind of practice makes me a bit more confident in terms of getting a successful newborn session. Yeah.
I love that, because I think a lot of the times when newborn photographers or new photographers wanting to get into the newborn photography genre, they think that they should be confident within, a couple months or, 5 or 6 sessions. And it really is not like that. And like for me personally, it was like 100 babies in, and I was like, I might feel like I've mastered a couple poses at this point, but like it probably wasn't at least until like 300 or 400 babies that I felt like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. And it kind of gets you, like if the baby doesn't do the way how you want it, you kind of like feel, am I doing something wrong? And you get confused. What do I do? Yeah. So you have to have the confidence, of course, along the way, and to find your way along the go. But also babies are different. Every baby is different. Some are more cooperative than others. You get the confidence from the very cooperative babies, and then have some struggles in the next one.
Oh yes. And it's like when you have like that series of like 5 like rough sessions, you're like, I'm throwing in the towel. This is awful. I'm done.
Find another job.
But you know, we all get those, and I think that's one thing that our new photographer listeners sometimes maybe forget is like even someone who's been doing it as long as we have, we get those bad days too, and those rough sessions, and like you're not unique and you don't suck.
Yes, it's not just the baby themselves. They can't talk. There's also some factors that you could consider from the parents' side too. Some parents are more, I suppose, open-minded than others, whereas some might be more, they have their own mind on how to have the baby, how to prepare the baby, how they want to feed the baby, anything very small that could specifically impact on your session.
Yep.
Yeah, so really a lot of factors you could consider into your session, whether it will contribute into a successful session. So, yeah, there's obstacles, of course, but the main thing is how you lead the session and how you grow as a photographer. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's so important, especially there's been times when like grandparents have come in for the sessions, and grandmothers definitely have their opinions on how we should be handling their grandchildren and are quite vocal about it. And it can really throw you in your sessions. So like just standing in your power and your strength and knowing that you know what you're doing. And that was one lesson I really had to learn.
Not only the grandparents, I suppose even the parents, the way how they stand behind your shoulders and watching over your shoulders, or having a milk bottle and a dummy holding both hands, that kind of eyes could make you really intense and not knowing what doing is right or wrong. Yeah,
especially when you're new. I think that's something that, that we forget what we went through, but we all have to go through that process of like that scrutiny that we're getting from the parents or the grandparents, and just like breathe through it, keep practicing your poses.
And the way how they say, do you need help? That kind of gets you. Right?
Yeah, I know, right?
And then you keep on saying, that's all right, sit down, relax.
Yeah, it's okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. What I found actually is when I started to introduce a spotter, like I had a spotter or an assistant with me, that really stopped that from happening as much. Like I had my assistant sitting there with me, it really just made life so much easier that they were like, okay, like they've got this.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So do you have a go-to trick to get toddlers to cooperate? Because they are toddlers.
Of course. Every different age is different. I shoot more newborns and cake smash as 12 months than older, 18 months or 2 years. I prefer doing newborns more than the cake smash, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because cake smash could be a bit tricky when at that age, they have the stranger anxiety, which is difficult to handle because you are the photographer. You still have to be in there where they don't want to see you, and they start to cry immediately seeing you. So that's difficult. Sometimes I have to reschedule, but it's very rare because I know even if we reschedule, they will still be the same. So we try to photograph as the way they are. So in terms of the tricks to calm some babies, I don't know, maybe just give them some more time to relax. I don't overbook myself, so I only try to book one session a day so that I know just in case some accidents or some break time, a nap time or meal time or anything. So toddler session, let's say a 6-month-old, was supposed to be only an hour to an hour and a half. Sometimes can be stretched up to 4 hours because, they might need a sleep or a meal or a break or whatever. So yeah, I think just maybe the trick is to relax yourself, just give yourself plenty of time. Yeah, don't
I love
overbook,
that.
and yeah, you'll know if the baby is not cooperative. We'll give them a break, a sleep,
Yeah.
or some food. Try to keep a distance from the baby to start with. You don't want to shock the baby in the beginning, and then you'll mess up the entire session.
Yeah.
To get the parents to handle the baby, to cuddle the baby, to change the baby's clothes, to put the baby down until we're ready to shoot, and shoot really quickly.
Yeah.
Don't just I try to get some smiling photos in the beginning for a very long period of time, just to get a smiling photo. Then I end up having 200-300 photos look exactly the same. Then the baby loses the temper. Then the baby doesn't want to do the second setup because we spent a lot of time in the first one. So I learned my lessons. I try to photograph very quickly, even 10, 15 minutes, I'm done with this. Then move on to the next one. So that before the baby start to realizing this is a new thing we've done already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So did you notice with pandemic babies or babies that were born like with masks in 2020 and less social contacts, did you find them to be even more stranger danger or stranger anxiety?
There might be some cases, but not really that obvious. People always say that because it's a pandemic baby, they don't see strangers much, so they are more aware.
Yeah.
But I see the way that if the baby's that kind of personality, they will be afraid of strangers anyways. And some babies are not, even not seeing much strangers. So, yeah, it's not really, I don't know. Parents are first-time parents. They don't see many toddlers in their lives. Yeah. But to me, I see a lot. I still deal with the babies that was born in the pandemic period, but they are very happy babies. They love eating. They love the cakes. They like how to interact with strangers. Yeah.
I love that. That's good. For a while there, I think it was it was late 2020, early 2021, where we were still mandated to wear masks, trying to do a 1-year-old session in a mask. I was like, this is impossible. Like,
no,
because I use my face to smile and connect.
Yeah.
Right. It was so hard.
It's hard. It's hard for you to breathe. Hard for you to see the viewfinder. If you're still looking at the viewfinder, it frogs up. Yeah. And it's hard for the baby to see your face, to smile, and they shock to see wearing a ginormous mask over the face. Yeah. So I don't do mask in my toddler session.
I miss it. I don't miss it one little bit. Right. So do you supply items, like do you have a client closet for your clients?
I have only maternity closet, not with the parents' closet, no. But I give them a guide how they prepare their clothes for parents' photos. It's because I think my parents' photos are not what dominates my sessions. The majority of the time we spend is the toddler only. So we spend about 90% of the time for the toddlers. So we're focusing on the toddlers to get the most beautiful photos out of it. Then in terms of family photos, it's towards the end. So it's something add-on for the package. And they would think that they're here mainly. Even some don't want to photograph their family photos. They will just skip that. Yeah. Yeah, but some are more willing to spend more time preparing. They will read through the email and they will prepare accordingly for their family photos. So, no, I don't. But for the babies' clothing, I supply everything.
Yeah. And it's so fun to shop. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I love
shopping. You can got carried away now. It's Black Friday coming up.
I know.
And
uh-oh. So how do you handle sessions when the baby refuses to sleep?
We try to convince the mom to feed more. That's the best I can do. If not, will just try my ass off to pat the baby, put the tummy in, and rock the baby, and try to settle on the spots. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of all we can do. So how big are your average client calories?
In terms of newborn or toddler? Newborn will be about 30 to 50. Yep. Depending on if they want to have their family photos would be a bit more. Then on average it's about, let's say, 40 photos. But toddlers is a lot more because they have different expressions. The expressions, I keep them, keep all the original ones in the whole package comes as a pack. And they pick 15 to 20 as the retouched images.
Awesome. Now, do you include prints? Do you do IPS or are you digital model?
Yeah, I do prints. I have these prints 5x7 size prints that are just on my desk, so I can show the clients the size. 5x7 prints are standard ones that come into the package so they can put up and also remind them to come back to me. They can, of course, customize their sizes and do frames or canvas or larger prints. Yeah.
Love it. So let's chat a little bit about building your business on social media and showing up online. So what advice do you have about that?
Oh, just to be yourself. I'm very authentic. I am.
You are.
Thank you.
I love that about you. Because that's something I really struggle with. I really do. I feel like I'm always wearing a mask and I really struggle showing up authentically online. So I always admire people that are really unapologetically themselves and you're like, this is me and I love it.
Oh, yeah. We get a lot of comments if we being authentic, people would judge you. Some people are more mean than others.
There's some trolls.
Those comments, I don't get bothered. It's just you have to be confident on yourself and knowing what you're doing. People who hate you will hate you or no matter what you do. But people who like you, they will understand you. Yeah.
So what kind of content?
Don't be so afraid. I know some content you think, it's maybe not inappropriate to put online, but as long as it's you judge it, it's not offend to your client or in any way or something. You put it up, let people to judge you. Like a speed up of obviously the newborn session is speed up, so people think that you are rude to your babies.
Yeah, they see it and they see the sped up and you're like, you're shaking the baby. You're like, I'm not. I'm so slow and so gentle. You're like, what you don't understand is this 8 seconds is really 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. Well, even 3 hours condensed into 1 minute. So, people will judge you based on that. And you stretch the baby's arm like that, they will say, you are watching the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people will judge you no matter what you do. But we as a photographer or newborn photographers, we will understand what we're doing is we know what we're doing. Yeah. So just be authentic and show the true side of your business, your sessions, let people to judge. And I also want to have my parents to know beforehand what they are expecting in the studio. It's not always perfect. There will be tears. That's what they have to get mentally prepared. If they can't handle that, they can find somebody else.
Yeah.
So that saves us a lot of troubles and hassles and misunderstanding.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just knowing that, your baby eventually might get frustrated or upset or frustrated or angry with me. My goal is to be as gentle and get you the best, safest, beautiful photos for your session. And I think communicating that beforehand, I think is really important to the success of sessions. I love that.
Yeah.
So what's the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
We get confused with a lot of business advisors. I try not to listen too many advisors. had a business coach came to my studio a few years back. She was saying that stick to your mind. So whatever you believe in the first few years, stick to that. Don't get confused because somebody else is doing something else and you wanted to try that. And she's saying, like, for example, there's a photographer can sell canvas for $8,000 for a single piece of canvas, and people are successful in that way. But I can't convince myself to sell that kind of price. So I stick to what I believe, which is to make the session a bit more affordable, whereas not as cheap as some other photographers. I try not to let people, my clients, mind to influence me, like how they want all the original files. I don't want to give up all the original files in newborns. So stick to what you believe. They don't need all the original files that they look similar or repetitive. So I only produce about 20 to 40 images for them to choose from. Eventually they pick around 10 or 15, which is enough. So believing what you are producing is good for them and good for your business, and carry along. Yeah, and don't start your business very cheap. So don't do your packages like free package or like a $200 session fee or something. And never do fake giveaways. People try to get leads because they maybe, on social media they post free giveaway, and they get leads to call up people to come in for a session, then try to sell the session with a bigger amount, and they get the feeling that they're being fraud. So just be authentic and transparent in your upfront, I suppose. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
So you ready for our lightning round?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Coffee or tea?
Both.
Both? Love it.
Yeah.
Most luxurious vacation you've ever been on?
Luxurious. I don't do luxurious trips. Maybe let's say Thailand trip from this year. I don't know if you've seen, there's some accidents during.
Yes.
Yeah, I was poisoned. Yeah. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
No, you got very sick. I saw that.
Yeah, but the trip overall was fantastic.
Good.
Other than that,
So can you share with our listeners what happened to you on your Thailand trip?
So it's a family trip. It's a family holiday in July. We went to Bangkok and Phuket. Bangkok was our first stop. We planned to spend about 4 or 5 days in Bangkok and then another 4 or 5 days in Phuket. So as soon as we arrived, obviously you want to experience the food, the local food. So we rushed into some night markets. We arrived at nighttime, so we rushed into the night markets to experience the food. It's a culture shock, but it's not so much because I grew up in China. I'm confident to experience exotic food, even from the street. So the first night it was okay. Then I got carried away, went on another trip, another day. On the second day, we went to Chinatown to experience some other street food. My husband saw the marinated crab and the raw prawns. That's just the street stores. So he wanted to try the marinated crab. I wasn't so much. I'm not a big fan of raw food anyways. So I said, okay, why not? Let's try it. They look really delicious. They look, the way how they present the food, it's just so good. So we had to try it. We brought to the hotel. Me and my husband I only had about 2 or 3 pieces. He had the rest, a lot. Then at that night, around 2 or 3 a.m., so about 5 or 6 hours later, I started having the tummy pain. I woke up and went to the bathroom and trying to throw up, but I couldn't. So I was like sitting next to the toilet, and I felt a bit drowsy and a bit uncomfortable in the tummy. Then the next second, I woke up and I was laying in the bathroom on the floor and looking at the ceiling, and I was thinking, why am I here? Why am I not sleeping on the bed? My daughter was sleeping with me, and my husband was in another bedroom. So he wasn't around me, so I didn't know what happened, and my daughter didn't wake up. I was laying there thinking and trying to rewind. Then I realized I fell and I passed out. I really fainted. Then still having the pain, so I went to my son's bedroom where my husband was there, and I told him maybe I fainted. I wasn't sure. So I lay there and being in pain, the tummy, and trying to throw up the second time. Then the next second I woke up, I was in my husband's arms. He was trying to wake me up because I felt unconscious again and I had a seizure.
Oh my
According to
gosh.
him, I didn't know. Yeah, so he said you had a seizure. Your eyes were like that, and you were shaking.
Oh my
For about
gosh.
half a minute. It was the first seizure that I encountered in my whole life. I never had a seizure before. So he got scared, called the ambulance. Ambulance arrived. They put me onto the thing. Before I was carried on transit onto the ambulance, the pandemic, they mentioned you passed out again. You had another episode of seizure and you were shaking like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So these things I didn't know until they told me. I lost conscious for about half a minute or so as soon as I woke up. And I was like seeing all these strange faces and I'm seeing, who are they? Where am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
What I'm doing here. So I lost conscious for about half a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they put the drip on me and did some scans. Didn't get a conclusion, but I was feeling a lot better, so I was discharged on the same day.
Wow. And have you had any like reoccurrence since, or you're like totally
it
fine?
never happened again after.
Wow.
But because of this, I was trying to get the bottom of it once I returned. I went to see a neurologist. I did 2 MRI and 1 EEG, the scans.
Wow.
So far, I still haven't got the conclusion yet to what causes seizures. Because the doctor's saying food poisoning can't cause seizure normally. It might be something in your brain that is pre-existing already, and the food poisoning is just a trigger.
Wow. Now, did your husband get food poisoning too?
He did, but only the tummy pain, a bit of diarrhea and all that.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh. So don't eat raw prawns.
No,
in Bali.
Thailand.
Yeah. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, I'm glad you're okay. But I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, but other than that, the overall trip was fine. So I was only down for a day and a half, and I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior.
Yeah, you're a little warrior.
The next day I woke up and I'm fine, I'm happy. I'm here, I want to enjoy.
Good.
Let's go to another place to have some other food.
So speaking of food, what do you like to cook the most?
I love cooking. I used to love cooking, maybe baking a bit more than cooking. Because I like those little dessert and what is presentable, those little things. Like
little petite
really
fours.
Nice. Some little cakes or even pieces of dessert.
Yeah.
But not now. Unfortunately, I don't have time to cook now.
No.
I just get those frozen food and throw into the microwave and heat up. That's the way to go.
Busy mom has got to do it somehow.
Yes, exactly.
So what was your favorite show as a kid?
My favorite show, They are not in English because I grew up
In China.
in China. Yeah, my TV shows were in Chinese. I didn't get TV
Ah.
until I was about 7 or 8,
Yep.
school age. Before the school age, there was no TV. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, my TV shows are in Chinese. I don't even know how to say in English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No worries.
those monkeys and the legendary monkey thing. Have you heard of it?
No.
The monkey, the pig, and there's four that went to India for the monks. Do you know that one? It's quite
No.
famous. The
I
Monkey
don't
King.
know that one. No,
Monkey
not at
King.
all.
Have you heard?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
I'm going to Google that, though.
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
know about that. Yeah.
So what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a kid?
As a fashion designer.
Oh.
Yeah. Before that, I liked being a model because you'll get access to different clothing. I love fashion-related things.
Yeah.
Then I realized my body shape wasn't perfect. I wasn't being able to be a model in my body shape. So I moved on to a fashion designer who still get access to some fashion-related stuff.
Love
So,
that.
yeah, fashion designer. I still like fashion design now. I love seeing fashion shows and those things. Yeah, and how to style myself and everybody else. Yeah.
I love that. Let me see. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in photography?
Starting out, just be confident and, try to have belief in yourself. You can get it. Yeah. And you can have clients, of course. There's some days, some downs, and some ups. So up and down is very normal in whichever phase of your business. Even now, we go through up and downs. Some downtime, we don't have many clients, whereas uptime, we are busy like 21 days, which is what I'm doing now. At 21 days, no break. So, yeah, just believe in yourself, believe in yourself, and try to be bold at the same time, too. You want to take your step forward. Don't get scared because you might encounter some troubles or something along the way, but don't get scared because of that. I started my studio from my home, so move on to the granny flat, which is the 1-bedroom. Before that, I was questioning myself, do I really need to? Do I have to? Do I want to? So if I want to, I move. There's, of course, the overhead, the rentals, and all those expenses are there, no matter if you have clients or not. Yeah. So just be bold. Take the challenges. There's not much you can lose. All you could lose is when you try yourself for 1 year. If it doesn't work out, you can always come back. Yep. Yeah, so that's how I grow my business up to now. I moved on to this warehouse, this commercial buildings, which I own now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So where can our listeners learn more from you?
Well, they can follow me on social media, of course, on Instagram. And if they want to learn the newborn photography, anything related to business and newborns, they can come to my workshops, either online or in person. I have in-person workshops next year in March in America and in Japan too.
Yeah. Love that. And you're going to be teaching for the online newborn retreat. So can you share a little bit about what you're going to be teaching?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. I only just did the day before yesterday. I shot the film.
Yay!
So I was editing the video yesterday and looking at the in-home photo shoot. It's going to be very applicable for a lot of aspiring photographers. Because I started my photography business as a travel photographer to travel to a client's home to do the thing. So I was throwing a lot of tricks, how to use minimal items, minimal props, and use what they have in their home, even within a very small bedroom space. to shoot your newborn photos and make it work and look like the studio shoot.
Love that. So I love to end my interviews just with this last question, and it is, what are you currently curious about or artistically curious about?
Curious about? I'm curious about everything, but the most...
Same.
Like I said, I'm always keeping my eyes on some artistic, art-related things. So the one that I'm putting on the most is videos, not just short videos and some commercials too.
Yeah.
How to grow and help people to grow on their social media. So some, it's a video era now.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, so I am growing my, I'm trying to improve my editing technique and some filming techniques and all those kind of video-related techniques.
Love that.
Yes.
Well, Sissi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for this invitation, and also for Milky Way Newborn Retreat. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm also happy to see some other photographers' work too. Yeah, I learned so much from the last year's newborn retreat from others.
Yeah, I learn so much every time.
Yeah. So it's always something new to learn.
Love that. Oh, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I love this conversation. I hope you did just as much as I did. I am sending you so much of my light and my love today and every single day.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for the invite. Thank you.